Welcome to the Zaleski Sports Show. I'm your host, Rachel Zaleski, and today we're going to be talking about high school basketball, NFL football, and this week's live stream schedule. It's all yours, and it's all now. Joining us now is Jason Zaleski, our sports expert, and also former Marshfield News-Herald Sports Editor and Jason's dad, Doug Zaleski.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. Well, it's always interesting, so buckle up. Here we go.
All right, so Jason and Doug, number 2, Columbus Catholic took on Marathon last night. Jason, tell us all about it.
Well, 72-60, Marathon beat the number 2 ranked in Division 5, Columbus Catholic Dons. Columbus, their last non-conference game before they hit full stride into their conference season. And we actually talked to Coach Konieczny, Don's head coach, about non-conference scheduling. The Clover Belt East maybe isn't as well-rounded as some might hope. He certainly kind of stands tall in that conference, him and his Dons do. So he scheduled some non-conference games to get that experience that maybe he can't get during the conference season. Did that during this game and fell to the Marathon Red Raiders again, 72-60, who are a Division 4 team. So it will turn out to Doug, who after you left Marshfield covered Division 1 sports at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana. And so you had that experience with that mid-major school, looking for some extra competition to kind of test things out before they hit their conference season. What's a reason why a certain tier school or athletic program would play a couple tiers up before they hit their conference season?
Well, at the collegiate level, there's basically 2 goals, 2 reasons for that. One is to kind of test yourself against what most of the time is a superior opponent and give yourself a chance to pull off that unexpected victory, make the Sports Center highlights, et cetera, et cetera. The number 2 reason is monetary. The smaller school will every time get a paycheck from the host school. So if Ball State goes to the University of Wisconsin to play the Badgers in football, Ball State would typically get a check for in the ballpark of $1 million today to play that game. So that's primarily the reason you see that throughout the collegiate level. It works kind of the same in basketball at the collegiate level. You get the chance to pull off that upset, and you get a chance for a payday. Now the paydays in collegiate basketball at the Division I level not quite as high as football. If you go to Wisconsin, if you're a mid-major school, you go to Wisconsin to play a basketball game, you probably are going to get a check for $50,000 to $60,000.
All right, and in high school sports, probably not going to get a payday. If you do, there could be other trouble associated with that. But a coach in this case may do it to kind of test his team, kind of level, see where they are before they head into their conference stretch. I
think definitely at the high school level, in that case, you would want to test yourself against a quality opponent. And there probably isn't a huge disparity at the high school level in going up from one division to another. If you're a good team, you can probably compete on even ground with that team in the next level. But certainly, it's an opportunity to show yourself, and if you play well, come up with a nice victory.
Yeah, all right. Well, Columbus did that. Now, earlier this year, they took their non-conference schedule to University School of Milwaukee in a holiday tournament, beat them. They also went on the road against Auburndale, a division up, beat them. They did fall last night, 72-60, to a Division 4 school in Marathon. Also, last night we had girls basketball action going on. Number 8, Assumption Royals, traveled in conference in the Merriwood South to Stratford to take on the upstart and first place Stratford Tigers. Let's take a look at those highlights now. Welcome to the Zaleski Sports Show Highlight House, sponsored by the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. UW-Stevens Point, now with campuses in Wausau and Marshfield. UW-Stevens Point, a new chapter in education. Stratford Tigers and the Assumption Royals. Merriwood South, get on the floor and make a statement game. Low-scoring game on Tuesday night between these two. Offensive possessions would be important. Matty Bone gets this one to drop. On the other end, Callie Lehman, timber! Tie game, loose ball, Blair Linder scoops it up, hits from 16. Less than 4 minutes left in the first half, and out of an Assumption timeout, Coach Klein looking to get further explanation from the officials, and sometimes further can be just a bit too far. Technical foul assessed. Stratford hits one free throw and extends its lead by 3. Assumption pushes it up the court. Jesse Grunhofer settles in the corner. 3 up and 3 down. Royals in the lead. Brianna Ackley launches from 3. No. Lindner, rebound, and 1. Lindner had 13 points on the night. Second half, Tigers up 4 with 10 to go. Emily Bone off the inbound pass. Tigers looking to run. Lehman, shot blocked. Assumption now, up-tempo the other way. Grace Crowns gets it to Kendall Schmidt, and we're tied at 25. Still at 25, Tigers looking for a shooter. Lehman chopping trees and counting threes. She had a game-high 14. Royals need to stay close. Bone up top, shot. No good. Grunhofer, rebound, putback. Lehman, timber! Stratford would go on to hit their free throws down the stretch and take down Assumption, 41-33. Stratford now 8-1, first place in the Merriwood South. Assumption drops to a third place, 6-3 mark. Thank you for watching the Zaleski Sports Show Highlight House, sponsored by the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. UW Stevens Point, now with campuses in Wausau and Marshfield. UW Stevens Point, a new chapter in education. You are watching the Zaleski Sports Show Highlight House.
Okay, Doug, so the Green Bay Packers hired a new head coach last night or yesterday. Go ahead and fill us in on the details.
Well, they hired Matt LaFleur, who was the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans in the 2018 season. I think the hire probably fit the parameters they were looking at. I think they were looking to hire a younger coach, a guy who could engage players maybe a little more than Mike McCarthy could. And Matt LaFleur is 39 years old, so he's a little closer in age to the players on the Packers roster. He's one of these young wonderkind assistants throughout the NFL that we see. Cliff Kingsbury was hired as Arizona's coach yesterday, and I remember Cliff Kingsbury playing quarterback what seemed like about 5 years ago. Yeah. It was longer than that, but now he's an NFL head coach. So LaFleur fits that mold. He also fits the offensive dynamo mode in that he has worked for the Atlanta Falcons, and his offensive coordinator that he worked with at the Falcons was Kyle Shanahan, who is seen as one of these young offensive gurus, now the head coach with the San Francisco 49ers. And then last season, 2017, LaFleur worked with the LA Rams and Sean McVay, who's a good friend of his apparently, and McVay deemed one of the bright young minds in the NFL, and now LaFleur, we're told by analysts, kind of fits that mold. He's, as I said, he's 39, and I think they were looking for that kind of guy to come in and work with Aaron Rodgers on his level. I've read that LaFleur is something of an intellectual. I would say Aaron Rodgers probably fits that mold, where he's a little bit different thinker, a little more upscale thinker, and it would seem like those two might connect given their proximity and age. LaFleur is only 4 years older. He's this very smart, intelligent guy, and it'll be interesting to see now. Obviously, whatever success the Packers have next year and in the coming years is going to be determined by how well Aaron Rodgers will adapt to the LaFleur system and how he operates in that system.
So you mentioned Aaron Rodgers a couple times in that. I think we at least know he had a knee injury of some sort, maybe something else. Let's say he's back to full health. They've got the coaching staff, or at least the head coach, figured out, and perhaps he may bring in some of his own. But assuming the coaching is all settled, the quarterback is healthy, what other needs the Packers have coming into 2019?
Well, they have needs across the board, I think. As we've seen, the drafting of Ted Thompson in the last 4 years or so before he left the Packers as general manager was not good. I believe there's nobody left from the 2015 draft class. I think the 2014 draft class is either pretty sparse or nobody left there. So Ted Thompson didn't do a very good job of drafting, and now we've seen that play out on the field where the Packers don't have quality players across the board. Offensively, I think they're always looking for receivers. It remains to be seen whether Randall Cobb will return with them. Packers have something of a young, dynamic group of wide receivers, but most of these guys outside of Devontae Adams haven't proven themselves yet. They look like they have a nice running back in Jones. They can always use offensive linemen. I think the biggest needs, though, are on defense. The defense, though, I thought was improved a little bit this year under new coordinator Mike Pettin. Still a lot of holes on defense. Clay Matthews, he's not the Clay Matthews of old. He was just didn't have a very good year, I didn't think. So they definitely need an edge pass rusher. That's the name of the game defensively in today's NFL. They could use certainly help at safety after trading Ha-Ha Clinton-Dix. The other safety, and that was kind of a revolving door. It seemed like somebody was always hurt there, so they definitely can use some safety help. I think they've got a nice group of young cornerbacks. Can always use a defensive lineman, and so I think that's where the focus of this year's draft probably is going to land.
All right, we look forward to having our Green Bay Packers draft expert Adam Sievert back on the show come springtime, and we usually have him on about a week before the draft. But Rachel, there's some other football to be played yet this season, right?
Right. So, okay, fellas, go ahead and let's just help our audience break down the NFL playoff round.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're into the divisional playoffs now, so we'll start with Doug's favorite team, the Indianapolis Colts, taking on the number 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs. Thoughts on that game?
Thoughts on that game? I'm a little surprised the Colts are here. I thought they might have lost to the Texans, but Colts are one of those teams that have jumped off the radar this year. They started 1-5, then they won about 7 games in a row. Andrew Luck at the beginning of the year looked very timid. Didn't look like he trusted his arm. He missed all of 2017 with a shoulder injury. Some people thought maybe he was even done. But he has bounced back to have really an amazing year and he's now a much smarter football player. In the past, he's a big, strong guy, and he liked taking off on a run and challenging linebackers to hit him, and ultimately that's what injured his shoulder. So I think he's a lot smarter now. He doesn't run nearly as often or as recklessly as he once did, and he's throwing the ball very well. They've got good receivers. A little bit under the radar in terms of name recognition, but they're a good group. Eric Ebron at tight end, we saw him in the NFC North Division for a number of years with the Lions, and he was just a guy. Now he caught 12 touchdown passes this year. So Colts defense is vastly improved. No one saw this coming, where they would be maybe one of the top dozen defenses in the NFL. Darius Leonard, a linebacker, just came out of nowhere as a rookie to lead the NFL in tackles. But the challenge with the Chiefs, and I'm kind of rambling here now, but the challenge with the Chiefs is
his favorite team. He could probably go on for hours about the Colts.
High-powered offense with Patrick Mahomes. 50 touchdowns, 5,000 passing
likely
yards
NFL
this year.
MVP.
Likely MVP. And a lot of different assets offensively for that team, even without Kareem Hunt now, who was suspended 6 weeks ago. So be an interesting game.
Okay. Well, we look forward to that one. That starts 3:30 here local time on Saturday afternoon. And then after that, the prime time, and there is no more prime time team than the Dallas Cowboys. They travel to Showtime over in Los Angeles.
You think they'll show Jerry Jones on camera once?
One time, probably. One time. The word is there could be as many as 70 to 75% of the Coliseum filled with Dallas Cowboys fans, and they're going to take on the number 2 seed Rams. I'll let you talk about that game, too.
Well, that matchup, the way I see it, the Rams, I don't know where the Rams are right now. They were very prolific during most of the season, scoring a lot of points, racking up yards. They ended the season, I thought, on a bit of a downhill slide. Todd Gurley, the running back, was injured,
He was,
in and out of the lineup. Jared Goff didn't look like he was playing quite as well as he did early in the season. The Rams' defense is still pretty strong, I think. On the other side, the Cowboys, certainly the addition of the receiver
Amari Cooper,
seemed to help their offense. That was one element that was certainly missing from their attack. Zeke Elliott still runs the ball pretty well. To me, Dak Prescott, and I hate that thing.
He needs a haircut.
That makes me mad. The quarterback, Dak Prescott, to me, is kind of the key to the whole game.
Won the playoff game for them last week, so certainly he's the key.
Won the game for him last week. That offense was shut out by the Colts. That came out of nowhere.
Here come the Colts again.
So I don't know about Dak Prescott. Is he in his third year now? Is he up to this kind of a challenge, this kind of pressure cooker? We'll see.
All right, and then we'll move to Sunday's games. In the early game, noon local time, actually 12:05 listed, is the Chargers and the Patriots. A lot of people think the Chargers may be the best team in the NFL. They come in as a wild card, and they play the Patriots, who apparently a lot of question marks over at Foxborough these days.
Well, that's a very interesting game because I think the Chargers are good enough to win the Super Bowl this year. And they don't necessarily stand out in a particular area, but their defense is pretty good. Their offense is pretty good. It seems like when they lose, they beat themselves. And so if they don't beat themselves, I think they definitely have a legitimate chance to go into Foxborough and beat New England. Now, with New England, the thing that I've admired about New England over the years is their ability to adjust to their opponent. And by that I mean, I think Bill Belichick is definitely the best football coach the NFL has seen in the last quarter century.
By far the best playoff football coach.
And he's able to do things that other players or other coaches can. And I'm kind of, when I think of him, if you remember back to the Houston Oilers days in the early 90s, when Bum Phillips was there, they would always say Bum Phillips could take his players and beat your team, or he could take your players and beat his team.
Right.
And Bill Belichick, to me, is kind of like that. He can adjust sometimes on the fly, but he's a very good game planner. And you'll see from week to week, one week they might win with Tom Brady passing for 380 yards and 4 touchdowns. The next week, against a different opponent that maybe is susceptible to the run, you'll see a New England running back that you know little about rush for 175 yards and win the game that way. So they're the team of the 2000s. I would never count them out, especially at home, but that'll be a very interesting matchup, I think.
All right, we look forward to watching that one. Again, that kicks off at 12:05 on Sunday, and then at 3:40 is the number 1 seeded New Orleans Saints and the lowest seed, the number 6 seed, Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles beat the Bears in just a pretty pathetic game overall by the Bears. But we'll just talk about this one. Saints, high-powered offense. Eagles, probably more of a defensive team. Nick Foles, though, playoff magic.
Well, with the Eagles, you can never underestimate what playing as a champion is like. I think they have that championship mentality that until you beat them, until they're down and out, they're in it. And they proved that against the Bears last week. They were down, I think it was 15-10 late in the game, scored a touchdown, ended up winning the game. So they have that mentality that they're still the best team. So that always makes them dangerous. The Saints, until the last few weeks of the season, probably were the most, certainly one of the 2 or 3 most dominant offenses in football. And Drew Brees having a season that, if Patrick Mahomes, as we mentioned, didn't have 50 touchdown passes and 5,000 yards, we might be talking about Drew Brees as the MVP, because he's had a fantastic year. done everything right, led a high-powered offense. They don't lose at home in the Superdome.
Don't seem to, yeah.
I think the Eagles' run is probably done here, and I would be very surprised if the Saints didn't win at home.
All right, well, for maybe the first time in my life, I'll be cheering for the Eagles in that game if the Cowboys beat the Rams, because that would put the NFC Championship game in Arlington, Texas. But that's for a different show. All right, Rachel, feed us about the live stream schedule.
Yeah, you better watch out. Your dad might knock you out with it. So all of our live stream schedules and live streams can be found on ZaleskiSportsShow.com. Just click Live Sports. And this week we have highlights and live stream coverage of basketball, hockey, and gymnastics.
Yeah.
So, Jason, do you have a couple that people should be watching for?
Yeah, I think so. So on Friday night for live stream, we'll start with those first. Friday night, Stratford at Auburndale. It's always a big-time matchup. It's a Merriwood matchup. The Stratford Tigers ranked number 8 in Division III. Auburndale unranked, but you throw the rankings out no matter what when those two get together. That's going to be a good one. Tip is 7:15. Pregame show starts at 6:45 over in Auburndale. And then the Zaleski Sports Show game of the week is Lakeland at Wisconsin Rapids hockey on Saturday. Puck drops at 2 p.m. on that one, and somebody you may know will be on the call for that one. And then highlights, one to look out for there, Marshfield Gymnastics. The girls are undefeated. They're setting school records almost at every meet, which is to say they're getting better. They're bettering themselves every single time. Highlights of that will be out on Thursday night. So those are 3 to watch for, but we talked about high school sports before. Anytime you do anything in high school sports, it's unpredictable. You'd probably agree with that.
You never know how 15, 17-year-old kids are going to react.
Yeah, absolutely. So watch them all is the moral of the story there, Rachel.
Thank you, everybody, for watching the Zaleski Sports Show. I'm Rachel. This is Jason, and Jason's dad, Doug. Thanks, Doug, for joining us today.
Colts fan.
You can keep up with live streams and highlights on the Zaleski Sports Show, the Facebook network, and our Twitter page. Make sure you check it out at Zaleski Sports. Have a great rest of your week.
All right, go Sports.